very hearty good evening to all the participants to this 27th Weekend Talk organized by Center of Excellence in Safety Engineering and Analytics, IIT Kharagpur. And this program is conducted under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which commemorates 75 years of India's independence. So as usual, we start the program with this wonderful shloka, Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya, which inspires us to lead from ignorance to the truth, from darkness to the light, and from death to immortality. So ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome our dignitaries to the virtual dais. We have today with us Mr. Pankaj Kumar Satija, our expert speaker for the evening, Professor O.B. Krishna, our convener of the Weekend Talk series, and we have Professor Jia Maiti, Chairman, COE, SEA. We have a very potential topic today to deliberate upon. Mining safety, best practices and challenges. So Mr. Pankaj Kumar Satija is a graduate in mining engineering from IIT ISM Dhanbad with a PGDBM from XLRI, and he is currently the managing director of Tata Steel Mining Limited, having blended mining operations with the framework of safety, health and environment. He is a PMP certified professional and has undergone the Indo-German Manager Program in Germany, the Global Beijing, and the Tata Development Program in UK. Fellow in the cohort 19. He is a certified coach with Ericsson Coaching International. He has more than 25 years of experience in strategic management, mine planning, mine operations. Under his leadership, the Vetiver plantation experiment was carried out for the first time in the Indian mining industry with the collaboration of IIT Kharagpur at the Joda East Iron Mine of Tata Steel in 2012. And he has been in the task force for the Sustainable Development Framework for the Indian mining industry, constituted for the Ministry of Mines. By the Ministry of Mines. Under his leadership, Sukinda Chromite Mine of Tata Steel became the first mine in the country to pilot launch SDF, Sustainable Development Framework, and Noamundi became the first mine in the country to pilot launch drone application in mine monitoring. He is the recipient of FIMI GEM Granite Sustainability Award and the Excellent Performer Award from Legacies. He is also the member of QP and NOS Committee as well as the governing board of the Mineral Sector Skill Council. He is the chairman of the Delhi chapter of MEAI and the co-chair of the FICCI Mining Committee. Also achieved the Best Corporate Management Innovative Excellence Award from Bhubaneswar and the Bala Gulshan Tandon Excellence Award from FIMI for its significant contribution towards assisting the mine achieve excellence through sustainable mining. So ladies and gentlemen, the audience today is highly privileged to have such an expert speaker with us. Sir, we formally welcome you, and I will request our Chairman COE SEA to welcome our expert speaker and hand over the session to him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mr. Pankaj Kumar Satija, Managing Director, Tata Steel Mining Limited, for kindly accepting our request. And you are going to talk on a very, very important topic. When we talk about safety, I think many of us say that mine safety comes first. And it is very close to my heart also. I did my PhD in the area of mine safety. So, and I'm sure that today the audience will be extremely benefited out of your talk. You have seen different leadership positions. You have executed different leadership positions. So your lecture will definitely talk from the leadership and competency, maybe to the rules, regulation. And at the same time, I'm sure that the audience will be seeing some of the new initiatives what Tata Steel Mines have been practicing, particularly from the advanced safety management system, and then maybe fleet management, loading system, where actually the truck dispatch system and strata control and related things, what actually, and slope stability also, where the different kind of advanced technologies are has a big role. So with these few words, I inform you that the Center of Excellence in Safety Engineering and Analytics, IIT Kharagpur, was established last year by our director, Professor V.K. Tiwari, and with a noble cause. The cause is that to save people at work as well as to save people in the societies. And we are sure that with your active support and help, we will be progressing fast and we will be able to achieve our desired goal. Mr. Satija, thank you once again. Please start your speech, expert talk, and audience are eagerly waiting for you. Thank you, Dr. Satija.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. It's Friday evening, and if people are attending this program, then definitely they are keen on understanding safety and they have a passion towards safety. So I must appreciate the people, those who have joined, and that shows their commitment about safety. Sir, before starting on this, I would like to brief about the structural issue of mining. So mining as such is not new. Gold mining started somewhere in 6500 BC. And there are instances in India also where much before mining was done, and we all know that in the warfare also we used many weapons made of iron and others, and that time you require mining of iron ore. So mining is not new. However, the pattern has changed. Many a times because of the precious metals or very valuable metals, we have seen that some of the instances in British time, the people, those who were convicted, they were taken to mine. And that's how some people don't take mining as a good example. However, you see in the Vedas time, miners and metallurgists were rated as par with Manishis, Devaro Karmanam, and then the status of metallurgists and minings were at par with the knowledgeable Manishis of that time. However, it started deteriorating. And we saw some deterioration in the British time. Post-independence, there were good examples of good mining companies. And in some instances also, the pattern started changing from the manual mine to mechanized mines to highly mechanized mines. Now we have again mines which are trying to be autonomous. So there has been transition throughout. And different phase because most of the mines which are won through auction where the main companies, they are getting the mines at a very high premium. They are trying to reduce the cost of mining by outsourcing it to MDOs, mine developer cum operator. Now, the pattern of MDO overseas and India, there are two different things. MDOs in overseas mostly are taken on a special job which they're supposed to do. Whereas in India, MDO is end-to-end. It means that the MDO has to take care of every aspect of mining. And let's say the owner, the primary company will see how it is being done and the processes are being followed or not. So I would say that somehow the mining has seen different transitions from its inception. And if you compare with steel plants or other plants, probably you will find more uniformity in the downstream, whereas in primary industry like mining, you will see a very diverse set of mining operations. And if I collect the different patterns, so we have mining done by PSUs, mining done by bigger, mining done by smaller. We had a trend of merchant miners, captive miners. So a whole gamut of mining is there, and that's why it is very diverse. And we say that one size doesn't fit all. So the approach also in the mining industry, has, depending upon the geology of that area, depending upon the size of that area, depending on the company profile, and depending upon whether it is linked to any downstream activities or not. And the mining operations has some its own little nuances. And that's why if you see the safety pattern or safety parameters, so initial period in the mining when the accidents were primarily in the manual mining area. Now, in the recent past, the accidents have mostly on the slope failure, where the benches have been made narrow because of winning more coal or more minerals, some cases of inundation, and the pattern is changing. So it's a very dynamic activity and a dynamic phase which mining industry has gone through, and it is going through right now also. However, there has been certain changes in terms of size of the mine. If you see, more than 50% of the mine are less than 10 hectares, and their mining has been in a different pattern. But now, as the auction regime has come, the size of the mine, the deposits will see a different pattern, and there will be some consolidation in the mining industry, which will have a more pattern which you see in coming days. So this is the mining industry in India, which I wanted to highlight. The second part is again the mining industry as a whole, which I always say that mining is one such industry which is always judged by the worst performer. Other industry, whether it is pharmaceutical or automobile industry, they get the limelight when something good is done. If some automaker has come with a different design, then that is being talked. But in mining, it is the negative news which hogs the limelight, and all the mining industries are painted with the same brush. And there are issues related with the mining. In mostly, if I see, it is the overburden, mining of the benches, inundation, and sometimes the greed to mine more and more without maintaining the strip ratio. That is the overall. Tata Steel Mining is a very new company. It's almost 1.5 years. And you might be knowing that Tata Steel as such known as a steel company, but there are many certain other sectors which are also very prominent, like mining in Tata Steel is more than 100 years. And when people talk about sustainable mining, Tata Steel mines are living example that if a mine can continue for say 90 years, then it's a living example of sustainability. That mine is continuing from past 90 years, and it has further more life left to it, because the mine planning and mine excavation has done in such a way that it meets the requirement of mineral conservation, it meets the requirement of safety, it meets the requirement of environment and the community. So Tata Steel Mining is again the thought that our mining business is sometimes subsumed because of the steel making. So Tata Steel Mining has been carved out, and we have 3 chrome mines in this company. Idea is that the new mining entities, whatever we get through auction, will be part of this company. The running mines which are in operation, which are in the name of Tata Steel, will continue with Tata Steel. So as you are aware that my iron ore mining leases will be over by 2030, the lease period expires in 2030. So the mining operations in iron ore will see a change in 2030 as far as iron and manganese are concerned. And slowly this Tata Steel mining will see a bigger role, and all the mining ventures will be in this. We also have a ferroalloys plant, which are basically catered to the chrome ore production. And as you are aware, we have again one mandate of MDPA, which we are supposed to meet the production and the dispatch requirement of production which were there in the previous best year. And that means that we need to produce what we have produced earlier. And meet the requirement of the ferrochrome plant. So there are other issues attached to it, because in order to produce and meet the requirement, there are issues related with where you will stack it, and if you're not finding market, then how you will run the operations at a price which you don't want, and at the market which is not supported. As you all are aware, mining and metal industries are cyclic industry. They have a different pattern of price upward and downward. And in many times we have seen that the downward trend, both steel and mining, they face similar consequences. So this is one such area where we are mindful of it, and we are trying to have more and more tie-up with our production, so that we meet the requirement of the regulation where we have to produce to the best of its capacity, and at the same time to ensure that we get a good price in the coming time. So there is a famous saying that whatever Gillette blade you use, we have a chrome in that. So that's the statement we used to make, and we have our customers, as you are saying, in Japan and Korea also, and they have a different requirement of ferrochrome, low silica, low phos, and our plants are capable of making those requirements which are expected from the overseas customer. And there we have certain leeways on the different products, different raw material. The chrome is to Fe ratio, which is one of the requirement for better recovery, and that we ensure when we mine chrome in the mine. So we have our own definition, which we follow by our founder, that art of unearthing consumable minerals in environment-friendly, safe, scientific and planned manner, with due care given to the conservation of natural resources and development of community. It was 1901. And if you see the important keywords, it finds safe, scientific, environment, and planned manner. And all these are important as far as safety is considered. Most of the overseas organization, they have SHEC department, safety, health, environment, and quality. And all these 4 domains come under one person. And it is known that if you are addressing issue of quality or environment or health, then you have a safe working place. So the SHEC takes care of this thing, and each one of these safety, health, environment, and quality, they are interdependent and interrelated. So my presentation will go in this 4 domain. And after safety governance, I think previous speakers in the same platform have spoken more about it. So I will not delve more on it, but the point what I'm making here is that safety journey has been a continuous journey. It's not like you are reaching a goal and then it is the end. It is excellence journey which we need to work on a regular basis. And as I told you earlier, that mining has seen a transition phase, so, and it is still in transition with different dimensions. So we need to add more and more element and a rigorous framework where we can see that the safety parameters are met. So the structure is like that. We have a plan, we have a health and safety tools where the safety standards, code of practice, guide and support documents are there. And then the monitoring, audit and review part is more important. Because unless you monitor, unless you check, then you will never learn from what has happened in the past, and that corrective feedback will never come. So we do give more emphasis on monitor, audit and review, and that helps us in revising the standards and correcting the behavior of the people. The governance structure also is in Tata Steel is Apex Safety Council, which is chaired by CEO and MD of company, and then we have a different subcommittees from process safety, contractor safety, road and rail training and communication, which is headed by the different vice presidents. And we are also following the similar thing in Tata Steel mining also. Contractor is one area which I told as mining companies, because of the new auction regime, they are going for mine developer come operator. So more and more mining is being done by the contractor, and contractor safety remains a key area. It has been a key area, but now as that it's a different transition, so the different dynamics are going to play. You may get good contractor, but then contract worker training and their engagement and bringing them to the safety culture of the company will always remain a continuous exercise. So the six main key strategies which are linked to the safety initiatives are leadership development, competency and capability development, contractor safety risk management, road and rail safety risk management, process safety risk management, and occupational health and industry hygiene. So there are various elements to it, and almost all the departments, when they formulate their own annual business plan, they do take cognizance of this thing, and their business plan are prepared in line with that. And we have a review mechanism of, like, say, in the leadership, it is written that line work by leaders. So we do monitor every officer or unit head how many line work he has done. And line work is not for finding fault or finding unsafe conditions or unsafe practices. It is more of buying commitment from the shop floor people, and how they are working, and whether they are committed or they are giving commitment that whatever has been discussed in that line work, whether they are going to rectify or correct or not. So, as technology is finding place in the mining industry, so more and more companies are also trying to take advantage of the technology, and and the connected workforce, connected systems are finding place. Agility, responsiveness, people development, these are some areas which companies trying to work more and more. And there has been many new path-breaking things which we have taken advantage of. Technology in the COVID time, the video analytics has also helped us to know whether the people are wearing mask or not also. And that has helped us in correcting those things. So, as I mentioned in the leadership part, the line work by the unit head or the leaders in their own area is one of the foremost important thing, and that is also monitored and tracked through InSafe, which is again to capture the safety KPIs, and then we monitor how the observations and the different parameters on this aspect has been captured and how it is being analyzed on that. E-work permit is one area where which is very important. Earlier, the work permit used to be in the manual method, and you were not knowing how many e-work permit issued, and sometimes the work permit were not legible also, and the 6-dimensional hazards also filling and all those things were difficult. So this is also one of the things which we have deployed, and we are getting good advantage of it. E-trans is again on basically for transport of for the vehicles. So as I was mentioning, that mining is not uniform compared to the steel plants or the other plants. It comes in different shape and different sizes. So sometimes you will see mines with 100-tonner dumpers. Sometimes you will see mine with 20-tonner dumpers, and sometimes dispatch also you'll see multiple type of trucks coming in. They pose a different safety hazard. So it's very important to know that which truck or which vehicle is moving in what area and with what speed. So that will also help us in location tracking and speed monitoring of the vehicles. Fleet management system, I would say it's an advanced version of uh, the location or tracking. It goes much beyond on the tracking. It also gives the directions if in the dynamic allocation, if more dumpers are waiting at one shovel, then it prompts the shovel dumper operator to go to one shovel, which is where the dumpers are not in queue. And a person sitting at a central location can see the movements of the vehicles and can direct where to go. And this also improves the cycle time and it reduces the idle time of the vehicles. Suraksha card is again one such area in technology which is being used and it has given good result in COVID time, which you can find out in one particular location how many people are there. And once there was a rule of 50% person in one hall or one room, this used to give the alert. And then you can also track if a person is moving into the hazardous area or not, or if, and you can also give authority in the system with some methods where person cannot go into an area where he is not supposed to do. We have also done a similar exercise in the plant where geofencing has been done and alert goes to the plant in charge when someone moves into the plant, means the plant inside the mine, processing plant or the processing plant. If someone who is not authorized to come to the plant, a shift in charge will get an alert that an authorized person has come. And if someone moves out of that plant, also a message will go that at this particular time, this person is not there in the desired location, and that will help the shift in charge to take necessary actions and precautions. Because most of the accidents what we have seen is because persons who are not authorized to go to that area, they have gone maybe out of the curiosity or maybe out of some different intention which they know, because it's difficult to gauge and sometimes it doesn't come out for the purpose they have gone. But the accidents reveal that it is mostly because of the persons who have not supposed to be in that area. Dispatch is one area where it is very difficult and very unsafe, where the persons used to take samples, where the persons used to do the leveling and then loading of the material. And there we have a rapid rolling station where the man-machine interface is minimum, and it also helps in other parameters. So coming back again, as I told that if you work on environment parameters, it will improve the safety also, and quality of the work also gets improved. As I was mentioning about the MDUs and their desire to go to more and more profit making, which again a transition which mining industry is going through. Slope stability radar sometimes forced by the DGMS. DGMS is the governing body or the regulatory body, Director General of Mine Safety, when they give a permission for a mine in particular slope. They sometimes use those areas, and this slope stability radars helps in finding out any movement in the slope or any movement in the benches, which gives an alert, and then the mine management can visualize or can see if there is any impending danger or not. This we have deployed in Sukinda, and many companies are now going for it. High wall mining is being deployed in one of our coal mine in West Bokaro, and again it is very useful when you are limited by the area at the mine bench, mine boundary, and that also helps to extract minerals or coal which otherwise would have gone waste by not utilizing it. There has been a debate between mining and forest. Sometimes people say that forest take a very long years to reach its climax, and sometimes those in the mineral industry, they say that minerals also take million of years. So it's not a binary that you do this and you don't do this, but then there are opportunities where mining and forest both can work together, and we can maintain the forest area and we can see the coal is also extracted without damaging the environment. So this is one such aspect, high wall mining, where you can extract coal where you don't have much headway to move on the boundary, and you can extract coal. Mine riding system in underground coal mines we have deployed in Jharia, and as you know that underground coal mining has its own hazard and own difficulties, because to going to the mine, you need to traverse long distances. And while going to the long distances, if you are traveling for 2 or 2.5 hours in a very hot and humid environment, by the time you reach the phase where you have to work, you are with limited, enthusiasm. You're limited your physical capacity to work, and most of the time goes on traveling, and it is unsafe also. So this has also helped us in giving good working environment at the mine. And as I told that if you give good working environment, your productivity will go up. So by reducing the time, reducing the fatigue, there has been increase in productivity and reduction in trip fall cases. Underground coal mines has also many such instances of roof fall, and we have used this strata monitoring system in underground coal mines, basically on load cell, and it gives us indication that how we can, have a warning on that. A drone is one area which is becoming very popular. Honorable PM Mr. Modi has also elaborated on use of drone, and Normandy was first mine where Ministry of Mines has advised us at that point of time in 2017 to have a pilot launch of drone, and now many companies are using drone in their mining operations. So this is one such video of lease boundary. So you can see on one side Normandy mine is there, and other side Katamanti mine is there. Lease boundary pillar is one of the requirement of the government to maintain, but at the same time, this is one area if it is not protected or not fenced, it has its own potential of people coming to the mine unknowingly, and potential health hazard and risk for the miners. And this just giving you that with the drone, you can also see the sections of that area. If you take these maps and georeference it, then probably you'll get the section of the area which will help the top people in the organization also at the office to know whether a particular mine, where it is benches are maintained or not, or where the risk of slow failure or hazard. So I've just given one video of boundary, but there are many other areas where we have deployed drone, and it has given many good results. And if I see the instances of other coal mines, I don't want to name them, but then probably if the sections of that particular mine was available at people, those who are or at the top, this drone application is very useful. There are other applications of drone also, not only for safety, but the volume calculation and reconciliation of the mine. Tire handling in the equipment is also one such area, and many such things which we have deployed it in the mining area. Contract safety, simulators and Sumilan. Sumilan is again one program where we engage mostly with the contract workers to understand their concern, their views. And if you see again in the different mining locations, Tata Steel has its own way of providing the minimum requirement at the shop floor, and even with the truck drivers who are not in your mine area, but they're dispatching the truck. But many a times this areas sometimes are neglected, where the basic facilities for the truck drivers are also not there as on today also. So this aspect is very important, and we are working on contractor safety management and understanding the shop floor contract workers who know more and better about their own work. Simulator is again one such example which has given good results in training and faster training. This POD concept was again used in COVID time because instead of having a total workforce, the workforce were divided into smaller groups so that we can know if any case is coming on COVID, then we, instead of changing the whole workforce, you can change that particular group, another group can work. And this has also given us good result. But yes, as I mentioned in the beginning, that because of the transition in the mining area and non-uniformity, in some cases, the safety challenges exist. So if you see the mining accidents and trend, though it is on the decline, but then yes, it is not, I would say, a very good numbers. Still, we have people who are losing their life in the mining operations. So if you see our own numbers, it is almost 53233, and the numbers are almost. There has been certain decline in some years, but then yes, lost time injuries have gone up. These numbers are basically of Tata Steel, and if you see the total accidents fatality trend, Tata Steel versus raw material division. So FY16, FY6, if you say 16 and 6, the numbers have not been followed uniformly, but yes, there have been certain cases where there were no fatal accidents in the mining locations. But yes, we have not been very confident that we can say that it will not happen. Again, it depends on our own oversight and on the journey which we are taking for this. So there are certain parameters which we keep track of it. And if you see the hazard-wise fatalities at RM divisions in terms of the contributors, so it's basically in underground coal mines, the roof fall, and then the moving machineries. So DGMS has also worked out with many new guidelines and circulars where they want to address the issues related with the moving machineries. Some of the more features they want to deploy in the trucks. But yes, the journey continues, and as the transition happens, we need to ensure that more and more contract workers or more and more which are running in the mine are with the technology which can help us reducing the accidents. So these are the numbers which again gives that basically it's on the slippery fall. And as you see that we have taken into account even the insect bite and animal bite also. So the major challenges which the mining industry is facing is it's like elimination of recurring incidents. You can say that we are not learning from the incidents, but yes, which are repetitive in nature, in spite of giving the best training, best corrective feedback, sometimes they do happen. And we ensure that actions or incidents happening at one place are communicated to other locations so that it will not be repeated. And we have everyday morning meeting, the toolbox meeting, the different other forum where we can exchange our views, communicate to the people, but one or other oversight or lapse that creates a problem. And the challenge is because it's very scattered operation, unlike a plant where few people are working in a very focused area. Mining operations are scattered because inside the mine also the dumper has to carry many material from the different shovels. And as you know that you require a different blend of material. Mining is a heterogeneous activity, and the nature doesn't give a homogeneous material. You get different type of material in a mine, then you try to blend those material to get a homogeneous material for steel making, and that's why you need to work at different locations to get different quality of ore to blend it in a fashion to get little homogeneous compared to what Mother Earth is giving. The working environment as such is very challenging because you're working against the nature. You go and dig the earth, and it's not so easy. There are inherent challenges. Mining usually in the remote area, and people they don't prefer to work in the mining locations. Everyone wants to work in cities and the area which is not so dirty, which is very clean, and maybe the white collar job what we talk about. So mining requires more perseverance, more efforts, and sometimes people find it difficult to work in those areas. And obviously, people have preferences. But being in remote area, getting good and competent person remains a challenge. And with those challenges, the mining companies are trying to work and address those issues which are related to behavior, which are related to competency, which are related to the commonly accepted unsafe practices, and then ensure that the safety guidelines are at shop floor and adequate supervision is there. So if you ask what are the top hazards in terms of different mines like underground coal mines or open cast metal mines, so strata failure is one such area. Many mines are working below water table, so that adds another challenge of inundation and slope failure in those. And constant dewatering remains a challenge. Moving machinery is also, as I mentioned, I have shown you the numbers. That is also one area. Fly rock blasting, it is both in underground and open cast. And as I mentioned, the fatigue in the long travel in the coal mines. So by and large, underground roof fall, which is peculiar to underground mining operations, inundation, which is more in underground, but sometimes in open cast also if the mine is close to the water bodies. The challenges are many, and if someone has mapped the mining area, then it helps in addressing those issues. So if you see these photographs, I'm sorry to share it, but then these are the realities, and many such photographs which are not so good. But one thing is coming out that either the face was not properly maintained, and there is a failure of slopes. Either the strata was weak, the benches were not properly made, or the strip ratio was not in favor. So it's a combination of the desire to mine more and more without addressing the issue of slope stability, or the strata was weak, which someone has not apprehended or not understood it properly. So safety excellence journey, as I was mentioning, it's a continuous, and we need to work on many fronts, from the wellness, the 24-hour safety hotline numbers, Suraksha Mitra. So all these initiatives are taken to ensure that we have a better safety culture, accepted behavior. Biometric attendance was not in vogue in COVID time. We were not using at that point of time, but yes, pre-COVID, and once the COVID is getting over, we are switching to biometric attendance system. Alcohol checking is one area where we need to continuously work on it, because some of the culture taking that hadia is not understood as alcohol. So they say it's their food. But having that in the mind sometimes create problem. So cultural issues also come, and we need to constantly check that people, those who are going inside the mining area, they are not in that condition. So digital interventions and safety strategies. So there are many such digital platforms which we are using it, and e-learning modules have been very helpful in COVID time, and all those standards which are getting revised. We have started developing such learning modules with a test, so that people, those who have gone through the course material, they are supposed to take the test also as a self-assessment, and they can understand where their understanding has been correct or not. Place communication protocol in COVID was is very important, and as you are aware that mining operations and steel almost were unaffected, because they were in the essential commodities also. And by and large, all the coal mining companies and non-coal mining companies, those were in operations, they're able to meet the demand of power or steel, and that's why we didn't see much difficulty in COVID time, even where we were working from the home. So all the coal miners or the other miners, those who were in the mines, they ensured that the production is on. And with certain hiccups, yes, in some areas, by and large, we see good recovery after the first quarter in COVID time. So these are the key initiatives, and these are the numbers, but sometimes the numbers are not so direct cause and effect. Many times we have seen that we have done good number of line works, we have got good um, uh, lead indicators, but even then one or other lapse has created wrong impression. So it's like always keeping on remaining on toes and seeing that no lapses happens. Consequence management system is one area where the mining industry has been shying off because mining usually happens in remote area. Most of the colonies are there, and people also reside in those areas, and they know each and everyone. So sometimes taking consequence management has been one such area which has not seen that strictness which are there in other plants. And we have a very good consequence management system, right from caution to warning to suspension and even termination. So that is one area where company has taken, say, a path-breaking journey in past few years, because we understood that risk and reward, penalty and punishment, reward and punishment both has to go together. And it reminds me a famous couplet of Rahat Indore कि जुर्म करने वाले इतने बुरे नहीं होते, अदालत सजा न देकर उन्हें बिगाड़ देती. So if there is something wrong, the corrective actions or the feedback must go to the person so that he or she should not repeat the same incidents in coming days. And it also it's like a proper justice and equal treatment to everyone who are doing good or who are doing bad. So we also understood that this many times people feel shy of telling to the management. Even we don't tell to our fellow colleague members if someone is not wearing helmet or outside the work area, because we have seen the people, those who come to the bike in the mining area or to the office, they are wearing a helmet, but the moment they are out of the duty hours, they don't use it. And then the fellow colleague doesn't tell him that you wear helmet because he feels that it may not be good for maintaining the relationship. But we feel that corrective actions or correcting a person is better than repenting later on. It also reminds me one of the a story of Mr. Botha, Jan Botha, who was working in South African mines near Johannesburg, and he was in the shaft sinking operation in the night shift, and one of his colleagues died in an accident. As per the protocol, he was supposed to meet the family members the next day, and he went to his family. His wife was preparing this breakfast for the two kids, and after sending of the kids to the school, Mr. Botha explained the sad event and came back. As was the protocol, he was supposed to visit the family again to ensure and to see that whether the different schemes which were supposed to help the family have reached out to them or not. So after a month, when he visited the family again, the younger kid asked the mother that is he the same person who killed my father? That has hit Mr. Botha so bad that he came to the company and told that I don't want to work in operation right now. I want to change my career to safety. So sometimes we do not realize that if something goes wrong, the leaders are also responsible, because they are also equally responsible for providing the resources. And there's a very good structure or framework in the mining by Director General of Safety, that the owner, agent, and manager, these are the things which are provided in the mining framework. So owner is responsible for providing the resources, and if there are instances or incidents where the accidents have happened because of the lack of resources, then the actions or the regime is actions are taken against the owner also. So though the safety excellence journey or the responsibility is with everyone, but then bigger responsibility lies with the leaders who are managing the show. And I'm sure that those who are in this program, they will also look at themselves that uh, what owes to them and what you owe to the industry. And as I gave the example of Mr. Botha, I mean, every incident I have seen people, after an incident, they have not, because they are told that I can't take dinner, I can't take lunch when my colleague is in the hospital. So it only we realize when something has gone wrong. But as long as it is, some people are not wearing helmets or not doing the way they are supposed to. We keep shy of telling him that this is not good. It's for your safety, and we realize only when the things have gone wrong. My experience and my learning has been that if you see your colleague is not doing something which he is supposed to, please tell him at that point of time itself, rather than meeting him in hospital, meeting him after the incident has happened. That's all from my side. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Lot of things on a single canvas. And I think the audience has really benefited with this wonderful presentation. Sir, before handing over to the Q&A, I want to ask two questions. So,
Yeah.
the first question is that, is there any process of ventilation measurement? I mean, not provision of ventilation, measuring the ventilation in the underground mines, because the environment there is quite, the ambience is quite uncomfortable, because we have seen that safety goggles do not work, and normally a high humidity area.
So ventilation is very important area. It's a very different subject. I mean, Professor D.C. Panigrahi, he is known as an expert in that area, and he was also a consultant to all our underground mining operations. Ventilation is very important, and earlier people used to take the birds, Munia bird, to know whether the methane or other percentage are high or not. But now there are scientific measures which will tell you that how the different gaseous components are there in the mine, CO or methane, and then you can take the corrective actions to see that the proper ventilation is there in the mine. So it's very much there. It's a very important subject in the mine. And whenever you design a mine, you design the ventilation system so that people, those who are at the mining phase, they get a good amount of air and they are not in fatigue. And as you are aware that the CO is more dangerous. CO, interacts with hemoglobin. A carboxyhemoglobin is done, and then when people die out of it. So it's a very more dangerous than CO2, and we have system of measuring these parameters.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So I will now hand over to Ashish for further Q&A.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So thank you, sir, for this wonderful presentation. Now we have some queries in the chat box. I'll take one by one. So the first query is, how are Industry 4.0 tools like AI, VR used for efficient and safe fleet management?
So as I mentioned, the fleet management system we started first in Nueva Mundi, and then we have deployed in other locations also. So this is giving a snapshot of the operations, or how the dumpers or how the shovels, each machinery, how it is being deployed at that place. We, as you are aware, our Jamshedpur and Kalinganagar plant, they are also adjacent to the White House, World Economic Forum Lighthouse. So Industry 4.0 we have deployed in the steel plants, and we have started deploying many of the things in our mining locations also. And nowadays, I'll tell you, the operators tell us that, how many gadgets you have put in the system. So we have a fatigue monitoring system where, they measure either the eyeball movement or they measure your neck movement. Then we have the collision monitoring system. If some dumper comes to your dumper where you are driving or to a vehicle, then you get a beep. You have a tire monitoring system. So nowadays we get complaint from the operators that should I drive my vehicle or should I look at all these monitors which you have put it in the system. So I would say that it's the journey which is going in a way, and we are using AI and others. As I mentioned that in COVID time when the people were not supposed to interact and meet each other, this AI, video analytics, everything has helped us in knowing the situation of that particular area.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So the next question is, in slope safety, can we use a system architecture with some sensors and GPS that can measure the temporal and spatial position of slip surfaces?
See, there are various techniques which are available. One is we put pegs and then do the survey to see the movement. We have slope stability radar to measure the minor fractions. We have piezometer also to know the water the sensitivity and then see any movement. The point here is that the slope movements, it is not which is happening at a particular interval or regular interval. It starts moving at a slow speed and the speed suddenly increases very fast. So a smaller indication itself is important, and to understand and to take out the machines. So initially when we have put the slope stability radar, we used to get lot many false signals. So one way is that to look at the signals which are false, but then other way is that even if the false signals are coming, it is helping you or forcing you to take corrective measures and to further check if there is a slight movement in the face or not. So the spatial and the temporal it's not like that. It you can see with your eyes. By the time you see it, it has been already been done. So you need to understand when the slightest movement or shift happens. So that we do get with radars, and this is new technique. I mean, think 5, 6 years we have started using it, but then historically we used to put the pegs and then we used to check it. But now with the technology coming in, video analytics and others, you also see the other things. And as I was mentioning, with drone, with one photograph graph, you put into your georeference and others, and if you put some other techniques, probably you will come to know which are the area where the bench width is very low and the bench height is very high, which has a potential for slope failure. So, in my opinion, the planning and the regular monitoring and this slope radar, which will give a faster and more accurate and I would say forewarning rather than waiting for this spatial and the temporal.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next question is, what are the indicators which can help predicting methane explosion in underground coal mines?
So there are tools, techniques, devices available which gives the methane percentage in particular location, and then you can come to know that which are the area which are very hazardous, and there are potential of that. So what we had also, I was also in the task force of DGMS for automation in mine, and there we have given this suggestion that what happens today, we write foreman diary and mate diary. And the shift in charge, who is supposed to be the mate or foreman of that particular shift, he write in a diary that he has seen this thing and he gives it to the next shift in charge. Many times the next shift in charge may not see or he has not gone into what the previous shift in charge has written, and then no one else knows. So what we have proposed that we need to have some 10 parameters which should not be on the writing, but which should be on like multiple choice questions. some sit in charge will write that he has seen methane percentage in that particular area or that pit, this percent, this percent, this percent. He will click on that, and that record will go to the next in charge, who will also be provided with a digital, maybe notepad or iPad or whatever. And then that also should be linked to the mine manager, owner, and to the DGMS. And that will give some analytics we can use, which will also help in classifying the risk of it. So I'll tell you, which I have not mentioned here in my presentation, that DGMS has also taken a safety management plan. The automation, the digitalization and computerization has happened more in the government sector rather than the private sector. The regulators are not knowing which mines they're going to inspect. It is automated, because many companies, they have complained that so and so regulator is harassing us. So this was the system which was developed. Now, if that system of this the safety management plan which are being implemented, where every mine has a certain risk score, and if that risk score is again linked to the methane percentage, as I mentioned, that there are some 10 parameters which the shift in charge, the mate or foreman will write, and it will be known to all those who are connected in the system, from the shift in charge to the mines manager to the DGMS. It will also help in knowing the score of that particular mine. So DGMS need not go to the mines where the mine is at a lower risk. This will give them the idea of a mine which is at a higher risk, and DGMS can devise again a system where the high risk alert go to the regulator, and then the regulator can decide that, okay, this mine is at high risk and I should visit this first, or the mine frequency should be in those mines. Because as you are aware, India being a populous country, the doctor to population, the policeman to the population, or the regulators to the overall population to the mine is less comparable to the overseas. So in overseas, the regulators are more, and the pattern also is different. So these are the things which we are trying to inculcate in the Indian mining system, and that will also help not only the mining companies but the overall scenario in the industry, right from the regulator, the lessees, and the people, those who are working in the mine.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I'm taking the last question for today's session. What provisions are followed to maintain the ergonomics of workers in mining industry?
So, I mean, I can tell you, first of all, the measures will tell you the operator itself. So we have 35 tonner dumpers. One was of BEML and one was of Caterpillar. The Caterpillar dumper and the BEML dumper, the fuel ratio was different. And whenever we used to give opportunity to drive the dumper to a particular operator, they used to say, no, we'll drive Caterpillar dumper. Because the Caterpillar dumper ergonomically designed was very good. So we have our own system. First thing, that the operators, they are the best people who give you the resources to whether the machine or something is economically designed or not. Then we have our own system, our own departments who inspects the area, whether the particular machine or particular way of working is ergonomically designed or not.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir, answering all the queries. So now I would request Professor Krishna to formally provide vote of thanks to our expert speaker. Thank you.
Sir, can I ask one question?
I think one more question is there. One question is that Suraksha card being used by supplier or brand. So basically, this is developed by TCS, and we are using it in our mine.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Can I ask a question to respected Pankaj Saab?
Yeah, please ask him, sir.
Pankaj Saab, the mining area is so big. Permit signatories, how they are ensuring site inspection and signing? Because you are telling e-permit, it tempts them to sign at the desktop with maybe the site inspection is getting sacrificed, or how they are ensuring it, sir?
So e-permit is basically to know whether, I mean, the person who has been given charge to work, either own or contractor, an authority to work. Many a times people, they do take job, but the other people are not aware of it. And there are certain parameters which they are supposed to take before they are going to start the work, like 6 directional hazards. They have to ensure that in all the 6 directions, whether they have assessed the hazards or not. So earlier, the manual system was with the person who has given the permit and the person who is going to do the work, and then the other people, those who are involved. But now with the e-permit, it is more transparent, and other people also can see that how many e-permits are given, it has been given to whom. And many times what we have faced the issue that people in order to write the e-permit, they were not writing it properly. It was not legible also what they have written. Now with that, we are seeing that whatever they are writing, what they are mentioning, it is clear. It is known to more and more people. So some corrective actions have to be taken. It will be taken. This was the learning which we have tried into this aspect. And as I can say that the COVID has given many opportunities to go towards digital, and this is also one such area where we were struggling how to move towards it. But then in COVID time, we realized that e-permit would be the better, where will be less and less interaction interface with the different individuals, but at the same time bringing more transparency into the system.
Sir, I agree with you. The transparency, there are many advantages of e-permit. What you told, I fully agree. My question is the signatories, how they are ensuring the precautions are properly implemented before I sign the permit. Site inspection.
So signatories, they are signing when whether they have taken the 6 directional hazards or not. And then the supervisor, he is seeing that whether his assessment is correct or not. So that part is always done. I mean, it's only what has moved from the manual system to the electronic system. So the processes which were there earlier, which are being followed also right now also. So basically, they are the departments, agencies who are the executive agencies. They are the departments which are the authority agencies. So all these three are there, and they are ensuring that it is being done.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's an excellent presentation, Pankaj. I think my purpose is solved. Today I sent a note to Mr. Narendran, Managing Director, telling that Pankaj is going to present the best practices of mining practices of Tata Steel to the world. There are people who are attending from US already. I am aware of those people. And I want to tell the participants, Pankaj has taken over this position of Managing Director, Tata Steel Mining, from the 1st of this month. It is time to congratulate and wishing him all the best. All the best to you, Pankaj. We hope, I know you since many years. So the successes which you have shown, you will continue to show. That is our wish and hope. You said mining industry is not highlighted like automobile and other industries. The very purpose we have called you here to share the best practices, that means you are highlighted. If there are good things happening, people will look at. I remember before 2004, we never used to call mining people to share the safety best practices. Now, many people across the world, across India, world, call mining people like you to share the best practices. It is equally important. It is equally progressing technically. The things which you have mentioned, IoT-based interventions and drone-based inspections. They're all the same thing is happening in all developed industries. You are at par. You are all at par at them. But let me tell you, it was so difficult for me in early days, say around 2005, 2006, or 2000, to push The interventions like energy isolations or ask for man riding systems. Nobody used to accept. Finally, the man riding systems were pushed at the board level. Even MD pushed on the MD at the board level. Energy isolations. I remember MD Tata Steel has told underground mines, if you don't implement, I'll close these mines. So initially, the resistance also very high from the mining management. But now we are all at the same pace, same length. So I'm very happy to see the development which you have shown. It's very useful to the whole of mining industry. The pivot initiative once Tata Steel started, we have spread to many industries from IIT Kharagpur. I passed on this information to many industries when people were asking what we should do in the COVID environment. Very nice. See, I want to tell you one thing. You're doing, see, somebody has asked the question also, AI and all those things. Let me tell you, Pankaj, you're collecting a lot of data. You put IoTs at many places, collecting a lot of data. And you said the drivers are asking how many things I can see. They are very genuinely asking. The solution is you have to use AI. See, the data analytics will help you in decision making and helping the operators not to take much brains. All the decisions could be consolidated and the operator can see a better way of controlling. See, the Center of Excellence in Safety Engineering and Analytics of IIT Kharagpur. See, this is started under the Institute of Eminence by Government of India, only to help the industries like you to take analytics on the ground, along with the engineering and all those things. The moment you get into analytics, you will see a lot of improvements. We don't talk about lagging indicators, leading indicators, failure indicators. We don't talk. We talk weakness indicators. We talk effectiveness indicators. The moment if I ask you what is your weakness, health weakness, you will tell. If I ask you what is your failure, you will not tell. We'll hide. It is the tendency of the whole world to hide the failures. It is the tendency of the whole world to reveal the weaknesses. So we IIT Kharagpur, our COE has developed this, how to generate weakness indicators, collect weakness indicators, analyze weakness indicators, so that you can address the safety in a big way. That is what data analytics which we are doing. So as I told you, we will actually, in fact, I told Mr. Narendran once this thing. At right time, we'll get into Tata Steel fully when we see all these things are properly established. And I'm very happy, Pankaj, with your presentation and your the way you have taken up all the things. It has given me so much of pleasure that you have taken so much of new initiatives, and you're honestly accepting where you are not very successful. That's the great quality of the leader. Once they accept where they can improve, then the improvements will come automatically. And we from IIT Kharagpur and the COE SEA, we are with you hand in hand to make you more successful in the metallic underground mines you are starting. You can use the design of prevention through design techniques. Right from the beginning, you can see the hazards and the risks and what sort of interventions you have to put on the design board itself. You can put, which we are giving these to industries now from IIT Kharagpur. We are with you, and we want your support. You get associated with our COE. Our center will be benefited by the experts like you in the mining field. That's why we have chosen you, because I know right from the beginning your career for the last 15-20 years. I am aware. how we are moving, how we used to very, very dynamically, agile, with energetically participate in all the improvements. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your great presentation. Professor Maiti, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I want to just give many thanks to Pankaj ji. In fact, after listening to you, I can say that in 1 hour, you talked about the anatomy as well as DNA of mine safety. And I will tell that to the mining department also. I'll share this the video recording. The people who are doing maybe research or MTech work, some higher level safety kind of academic work, they must go through this. Then they will not have any problem. I mean, they will get so many problems to work on. It's a benchmark lecture to me from mind safety point of view. It's wonderful. Thank you so much.
And I also thank all my team who are behind this, Savik, Ashish, and now Sreen, a new edition, and many, all the people around this, Sinjana, all people are supporting. Mom, how can I forget you, I say. Mom is from your company.
Yes.
You know Pankaj, mom?
I heard about her.
Mom is, we have hijacked from Tata Steel to help us. She is doing an excellent job. And our thanks to all the participants for actively sending the questions and actively interacting. So that's what is more important. And thank you very much. I thank IIT for giving this platform to share the safety best practices to the world, thereby helping the world, helping India. That is what we are doing. Thank you all. And gentlemen, we'll meet again next week, same time, 8 o'clock, with academic expert. So 1 week we are bringing academicians, 1 week we are bringing industry partners.
Professor Krishna, then next week, Dr. Faisal Khan from Mary O'Connor Process Safety Center is directed there.
Okay. Mary O'Connor Process Safety Center.
That you many a time you talk about Mary O'Connor Process Safety Center, USA.
Yeah. Very famous, very important center. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.